anybody that you can set your mind to it, you can achieve it. But the barriers for people like us coming from the Caribbean are real.
My name is Mia Neckles. I'm currently starting my second year in TAMCC tomorrow, actually. I am a physics, pure math, applied math, and business management major. How rewarding is the job? Like, do you ever regret shifting your career path to project management or not?
Good question. So I got my degree in architectural engineering, so design. And then I went straight into construction, project management, or that space right out of school. Do I regret not going into design? I personally don't, because as I mentioned at some point in the interview, I'm very good, like some of my skill sets are being organized, being able to sequence things in a way to get it done. I'm very good at getting things done. My skill set is just execution. So I personally don't regret it. When you work in the design space, it's and I noticed that when I worked in St. Lucia, you can very easily work on a project in design that never gets built because the customer just doesn't have the money for it, or you can't get approvals from the governing bodies in the country or the area. And that creates, in my mind, it's like you develop this whole thing and this design and you just can't execute it. And I personally get a sense of satisfaction for being able to get things done and to build things into reality. And that's the thing that's most satisfying for me.
Okay.
And to answer your question about what's most rewarding for me, sorry, I jumped the gun here. I recently got to work with, it might sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but I'll say it anyway. I recently got to work with 2 Nobel laureates that work at the University of Chicago to help build spaces for them to continue their research and help provide, research and insights and contribute back to the world of economics, and behavioral science, which I think is really cool and interesting. And I played a part in that. So I think, to answer like what's rewarding about my job, I get to be part of building and creating spaces for people that are doing big things in the world.
Okay, thank you. And you said that because you were like very much into organizing things and etc., that's why you chose that particular career path. Oh my God. Okay, that's why you chose that career path. But there are like other jobs that are good for people with good organizational skills. So why did you choose that particular job?
That is an excellent question. I think I chose this because I was already on the path. Like I was already on the path since secondary school. I did technical drawing, building technology, and I thought I wanted to be an architect, but it wasn't a straightforward path for me, in the sense that I thought that's what I wanted to do. And the more questions that I asked about, the specifics of what it entailed to be an architect and the skill sets that you need and the things that really drive architects and what makes them passionate, then I realized, hey, really isn't for me, but here are other things that I'm good at, that I'm still interested in and intrigued by, or still have a passion or interest for, and I can integrate those skills. And that's how I found it. So, and to answer your question, it was pulling parts and pieces from several different areas and skill sets that I had and things that I was interested in, and also doing research and realizing like this was a path that could be a viable one for me. Could I have, to your point, like, could I have done and something else, absolutely. I could have done something else. I could have gone a different route. But I also think, to be realistic in my answer too, you know, I'm coming from the Caribbean, however you want to say it. And there's only so many paths for us. You know, the barriers are real. They really are real to be able, I hate, and you know, I'm a believer that you can do anything you set your mind to. Like, I truly believe that anybody that you can set your mind to it, you can achieve it. But the barriers for people like us coming from the Caribbean are real. And so I thought, and I believed at the time, that the most strategic way to get me a path to a better life and an opportunities that are not available back home, I needed to be strategic. And the idea was to do something in engineering. And that's how I ended up there. Was it passion driven or purpose driven? Probably not. But I am also not a believer in the cliche of follow your passion. I also don't believe in that either. So it was a combination of things, but it was very strategic and practical for me.
Okay. Another question. When you were in secondary school, you said that's when you figured out essentially what you wanted to go into, right? Did you ever change your mind or have any doubts? Not particularly like from architecture to architectural engineering, but from like a completely different career path on a whole?
Never. I'm being dramatic. Yeah, all of the time, including, and to be honest and transparent, including recently, probably before I started this new job. I'm in this new job that I'm in now for maybe a year and a half, a little bit over a year and a half. Prior to that, I really questioned if I even wanted to stay in this industry or if I wanted to pivot out of it altogether, go back to school, get a new degree, and do something differently. So the questions and the doubt will always be there, I think. I don't think that you'll ever figure it out, but it's being open to exploring a path. And if it doesn't work out, make another change. I would say when I first started secondary school, I wanted to be a lawyer. And then I had a cousin that was studying something related to IT. And she talked about like, oh, there's a lot of money in IT, so you could do that. So then I thought of like, oh, maybe I can do computer science. Like, that would be cool. And then when it came time to choose my subjects, I was like, all right, I chose this path, so let's just go down the path. And again, I can be it's just kind of how I'm wired. And some people are not that way. I can be very focused again when I set my mind to something. So I was just going down this path and then being strategic and practical along the way. And that's how I ended up doing what I was doing. But to answer your question, the questions and doubt always came. Maybe not for me at university, but I know people face those questions and those doubts at university too. For me, it came after. So I don't know if that answers your question, but.
Does. Thank you. You said that you had people like telling you that this is where the money is at, you should try here and here. How did you deal with different people telling you different things, and how did you like navigate that to find out that architectural engineering was what you actually wanted to do?
Good question. I think I needed to do my own research. So everybody could say like, hey, this is where the money is at. But by the time when I got here and I was studying architectural engineering, a lot of people weren't an advocate for doing construction management. I don't know if you heard the part where I shared when I was looking for my first internship. At the time, my university, at our career fairs, they weren't hosting construction management companies coming in. Like, all of the firms that would come in were all for architects or different types of engineering disciplines. nobody was coming for construction management. And I was like, well, that's what I want to do. So I'm going to go look for it for myself. And I went to look for it. And then eventually, I guess enough people over the years gained an interest and momentum. And that's when they started bringing in construction management firms to the career fair. So I think there's merit and warrant in listening to what other people have to say, because people have experience, and recognizing you don't know everything. But at the same time, do your own due diligence, do your research, and also sit with yourself. I think a lot of times people are so interested in looking for answers outside of themselves that they don't listen, pause, stay still, be quiet, and see what feels right for them. We're so focused and based in a world where it's all about your head and your logic and not sitting with your intuition. I also believe in trusting your intuition. There are several times and examples in my own life where my gut tells me otherwise and I don't listen to it. And when it does happen, then I'm like, you know, she don't listen to your gut. So I think there's no straightforward answer, unfortunately, Mia. I think it's a combination of things, but you also have to pull in people that you trust and respect. Like mentors, I had a lot of mentors along the way. I still do, people to guide me that are far along in their life or in their career and probably face things that that have faced things that I'm facing or a similar version of it, and they can advise me on what to do. But ultimately, the final decision is left to me on how I want to approach it. So it's pulling in information, again, from several different sources, but deciding what's right for you after you've gotten a chance to assess it. Because again, you have to leave with the decision, not anybody else. Like, especially, and I'll say this because I know that I've had friends, especially when I was back home in St. Lucia, where, you know, they wanted to study something and their parent was like, no, this is what you should do, and was completely against this thing. And then this person pursued what their parent wanted them to do in lieu of what they wanted to do. And it wasn't satisfying for them. So if you know that's what you want, sometimes you have to go against the crowd and do what you know is best for you. Or what you think is best for you.
Do you think that if you had, like, say, an internship, like right after secondary school, before you went off to university, do you think that would have helped you, like, to determine what you wanted to do sooner? Or
I think so. A couple of things to clarify. I did not go to university right after secondary school. I went to community college back home. And while I was in community college, I had internships too. So I had an internship after my first year and an internship after my second year. And then I worked there. I worked in St. Lucia for 3 years. So all of those things I would say helped me because, as I mentioned, I wanted to be an architect. And if I had gone to university straight out of community college or even high school or secondary school, then I would have gone down the path of, hey, I want to be an architect. And I probably would have not done as well because architecture is based more in design, and that's just not where my skill set is. I can't conceptualize something and sketch it on paper. I can reproduce a sketch. So I don't think I would have been successful in navigating to where I'm at now if I hadn't had those different experiences along the way. And Mia, if you want to chat offline, I'm happy for us to connect too if you have more questions. So Arlene, feel free to share my email with her and we can coordinate something offline if you want to chat more.